morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have said on this platform that Zimbabwe is a failed state. And one of the signs of a failed state is that a significant percentage of the Zimbabwe population live in abject poverty. And when you're talking of poverty, those in the rural areas are the poorest of the poor. You wouldn't believe it that this is the 21st century. And yet, this is somebody's heart in the rural areas. Mud hut, grass thatched. One of the main reasons why the rural people have remained poor, even during white colonial rule days, is that they have never been allowed to really do something to uplift their own standard of living. It is common sense that if you were to give the rural people the title deeds to the land, they will be able to spend more money improving the house in which they live, the homestead, improving the land on which it is built, like growing fruit trees, digging wells, things like that, because they will have the confidence of knowing that whatever effort and investment they put in, if they should want to live, they can sell it and recover something from it. Or when they die, they can leave it to their children and grandchildren. But when you do not have the title deeds, you do not own a piece of land. The whites introduced a system called the tribal trust land, where the land itself did not belong to anyone. It belonged to the tribe, the trust land, belonging to the tribe, and the headmen and the chiefs are just the local administrators. If you move to a village, you speak to the headman. He will say to you, okay, you want to live in this village? You can build your hut here, and we give you this piece of land for you to till, to produce your own crops. But you don't own that land. If you fall out with the headman, he will tell you to move out, to move off the land. Before independence, the headman would tell you that the yard has been allocated to somebody else. That is the land just beyond your hut, a few meters beyond your hut. At least the hut itself, it was accepted that it belongs to you. The only problem is that no one would want to buy a homestead like that, where you know you only own the hut, and a few meters beyond that, the land belongs to somebody else. But ever since independence, the headmen have become so arrogant that what we are seeing there in the picture is not unheard of. For whatever reason, the individual is no longer wanted in the village. So what has happened there is that somebody has erected a fence going through the hut, underlying that you're no longer wanted here. Anyone who has been familiar with this situation in Zimbabwe will tell you that land was at the heart of the fight for independence. It meant everything to the ordinary Zimbabwean. They realized all of a sudden with this tribal trust land that they do not own even the land. At least in the traditional system where the chief owned the land, and if he has given you the land, he would have good reason to come to you and say, no, you cannot stay here anymore. But with the coming of the whites, all that was changed. A new system came in, tribal trust lands, communal areas. And when the people begin to understand the implication of that, of course, they were disappointed. And so it became one of the big issues during the War of Liberation, the land. The tragedy is that did not change anything, as we can see. Because Zanu PF, after independence, they stubbornly refused to give title deeds to the raw people. The ruling elite, Mnangagwa there, is standing in his farm, and you can see to the horizon. He owns that farm, and he has got title deeds to it. And so do many of Zimbabwe's politicians. Some of them not maybe as big farm as others, but nonetheless, most of our politicians own the land on which they live. The tragedy is the ordinary people have been denied the same right. Here is Nelson Chamisa boasting about his rural home and standing in the field, showing off his crops. Most of the rural people, the field you have this season, you may be taken away from you because you do not have any title deeds to the land. This has become a really sore point. Land to the rural people is everything. Forget about the vote. The vote means nothing to these rural people. Give them the land, that means something to them. It is no secret that Zanu PF is deliberately keeping the rural people poor. Indeed, the party has always maintained that its stronghold, its political stronghold is in the rural areas. And it has kept the rural people the poorest of the poor for selfish political reasons. Here is Margaret Longo speaking on that issue.
They have wrong priorities, especially the current government. How can you go and build an airport which services a few people, and the majority are the elite and the so-called investors? Look at the rural. I made you come to interview me because I wanted you to have the experience of the roads that we are using. If we go today to our hospital there, you feel pity with that's a hospital in a rural area. If we go to our clinic, you feel pity. We have no piped water here. Do you know the reason why the rural people vote for Zanu PF? One, they're intimidated. Two, the policy is that the rural people should remain poor and subservient to the government. They should remain poor because if they remain poor, they continue singing the song for their master. This is why these people have been impoverished. It's for a reason. Which is the moment, if you economic empower these people, they'll go out of hand. Zanu PF will never have control over them.
This is true. This is a picture of a school in the rural areas. You won't believe this is the 21st century. The rural people, they don't want handouts from Zanu PF. All they want is title deeds to even a few acres on which their mud hut sits, and they'll be able to do something with it. It is heartbreaking that 45 years after independence, that basic right is still denied to millions of our people. Independence will mean nothing. Freedom means nothing to these people until we free them from their present status, because they are no more than medieval serfs, beholden, forever beholden to the Zanu PF ruling elite and their proxies in the form of the headmen, the chiefs, the war veterans, and the Zanu PF youths. We really need to address basic fundamental issues in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's development, if it depends on anything at all, it depends on empowering economically, empowering the rural people. The reason why Zanu PF does not want to give them title deeds is the same reason that the whites did not want to give the rural people title deeds. Because the reason that if you give these people title deeds, economically empower them, the next thing they will be asking for is political empowerment. And that the whites did not want to do. And for the same reason, the Zanu PF regime and its opposition sidekick, the MDC-CCC, do not want to give the rural people title deeds for the same reason, for the same selfish reason. We need to put an end to this madness. No one in the 21st century should ever have to call such a structure their home. No one.